Okay, thank you, Mr. Bayu. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for now, together we will listening the first presentation by the beautiful and smart lecturer, Mrs. Priyanka Ratrinastiti SAMM, with the title, The Impact of Digital Disruption and Its Evolution in the Financial Services Industry. Mrs. Priyanka Ratrinastiti SAMM, time is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Rowley, for introducing myself. Right now, let me share my screen for PowerPoint presentation. All right, can everyone see my slide presentation?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rowley. Okay, so this afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. I will bring some presentation and the topic is about the impact of digital disruptions and its evolution in the financial services industry. As we may know, the latest financial technology innovation and digital disruptions, which is we know digital disruption is the change that happens when new digital technology and then services, capabilities, and businesses models affect and change the value of the industry, have helped many businesses improve the customer experience and also penetrate new niche market segments. Right now, as we know, customers are able to shop and also pay their bills in a more convenient and secure way by using digital mobile wallets, which I believe most of us, we are using these digital mobile wallets right now. Transfer money locally and also internationally, instantly to our friends and our family. And then we can get instant financing through a quick, convenient, simple, and paperless processes. As we consider today's fintech space, we can look back on more fundamental changes that has taken place, including like we use smartphone devices and then networks and also application or apps. The evolution of these technologies has played a major role in our ability to execute financial transactions and also mobile payments. The evolution of financial technology and digital disruptions have achieved several goals, but most notably the reduction of transaction costs and also the improvement of the customer experiences. And now we're talking about the payment card industry. Payment card industry is one of the common things that people use in this financial technology generation. Why? Because fintech created the most impact in payment card industry by addressing many areas and also democratizing the financial services. Using digital disruptions, fintech increase user engagement by reducing transaction and service costs, which is we know it's beneficial to customers and the service provider. Like the example is the small and medium-sized enterprises or SMEs. We know that fintech proved a competitive advantage in the current pandemic condition that we face right now by offering its service for direct benefit transfer or DBT, or we can call it financial relief payments. For the example, we can use PayPal. PayPal is the online payment system. We can use it around the world, around the globe. And PayPal has stated that its purpose is to democratize financial services. In recent years, it has lived that purpose by providing businesses loans to entrepreneurs and also small businesses, especially to those who don't have access to other forms of capital. So payment card industry such as PayPal is very useful for us in this generation. And now we are talking about the digital disruption on financial services. As we can see in this era, the digital disruptions has significantly reduced transaction costs by removing manual and paper-based processes. It has enhanced our ability to buy or sell stocks on our mobile devices, where previously there was a very manually intensive process of completing paper-based orders and then placing confirmation calls, and we still have to awaiting the transfer of funds to complete the trade. But now we can do this buy or sell stocks in our hands by using our smartphones. And the digital disruptions has also eliminated the need to drive to your local bank, complete a deposit slip, and then deposit a check with a bank teller and receive a paper receipt. Like you can see in the screen on the left picture, and people still go to the bank and do a manual traditional transaction in the bank. The digital disruptions has also improved the customer experience by giving consumers more choices in how they wish to interact with their financial institution, and also increasing the variety of financial technology, such as we can use website or mobile apps. The digital banking experience now has improved customer relation management and then offer consumers more choice in how they manage their money, such as direct or mobile deposits, and then how interact with their financial institution by using phone, and then using email, using chat, ATM, or in-branch visits. It's all in the customer choices, of course. Payment apps like we have ShopeePay in Indonesia, and then there's OVO, and then there's PayPal, like I mentioned before, and then there is Alipay. Those payment apps already enjoy the high level of adoption. Some of these payments apps also offer credit facilities to small and medium enterprises or SMEs. And this access through credit would have been unavailable from banks or would have been too difficult to obtain. So it's very useful for us. And then now we talk about the impact of digital disruption on many industries. As we can see on the screens, there is 3 industries that got the impact of digital disruptions. The first one is the hotels industries. And the example are Airbnb and also Red Doors. We all know about Airbnb and Red Doors. Those 2 industries are in a hotel industry and it works globally. People can access to their website globally around the world. And both offers hotels with various prices. And Red Doors, as long as I know, offers hotel with affordable prices. And then the second one, we have the impact of digital disruptions on transportation industry. And the examples such as Grab. We have Grab in Indonesia, and also I believe there's a Grab in Philippines also. And then there's MiCab. MiCab is a transportation industry application in Philippines. And the third one, we have Gojek, is a transportation industry application that we have in Indonesia. The 3 of these transportation application industry gives us a lot of benefit about simpleness to get transportation to go to anywhere we want. And then the third one is the retail industry. And the example of the retail industry are the first one, Shopee. Everybody knows what is Shopee. And then the second one is Amazon. Shopee is a e-commerce platform where people can sell or buy a lot of products. So and then we can send them around the country to the place where we live. So it's very practical. On a large scale, we can see that the impact of digital disruption on many industries, as I mentioned before. These companies like Airbnb, Red Doors, and then Grab, MiCab, Gojek, Shopee, and Amazon have provided platforms for consumers to do business and improve the customer experiences. Financial technology, or fintech, has reduced dependence on a few large institutions and has empowered the public and small or new businesses to be able to participate and transact with each other in ways that weren't possible before, the way that we never imagined before. Digitally, being able to purchase and then pay, and also we can track the payment transaction via technology. It has helped redefine the way we conduct business. All of the companies that I mentioned are able to provide platforms where consumers, us as the consumers, can use their own products or services to sell something they were unable to do so before. And now we are talking about financial technology or fintech. The customer experience has drastically improved due to the emergence of financial technology. We can say that technology has made businesses and finance more simplified and then convenient and then accessible and also decentralized at both at the macro and micro level. The customer is more empowered than ever before. reaching out to underserved and unbanked segments from like us, individual, and then from micro business or small businesses to small businesses. And then allowing them to reduce transaction or service costs, and then analyze their business performance and also receive financing. And last, we can say that business segments have benefited the most from the fintech innovation. So that's my presentation for today about the financial service industry and the impact of the digital disruptions in around the world. Thank you. Terima kasih. Selamat and good afternoon. And I give.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Mrs.
Ms.
Priyanka. Okay, well, everyone, we have listened the wonderful and great presentation from Mrs. Priyanka. Any question for and discussion, as you please? You can raise hand or write in chat column, please. From, yes, Yudita Trilutviana. Please, you can speak, open your microphone, and you can answer straight to Mrs. Priyanka.
Thank you, Ma'am. Hello, Miss. The question is, what are the most popular use cases of fintech? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Yudita, for the questions. So I will answer the questions. You're asking about what are the most popular use cases of fintech, right? Yeah, as I said before in my presentation, the most popular use cases of fintech we can see on evident in first banking, and then payment, and also financial management solution. And in addition, we can see that recently, financial technology or fintech use cases in personal loan agreements and also have also gained for medieval transaction. That's the answer of the question. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer, Miss.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Priyanka, for the answer. Next question, please. Next question. You can raise your hand or write in the column chat. Who is the next? Okay, we have question, Mrs. Priyanka, from the column chat. Hello, Miss. My name is Tania, and the question is, why fintech is the future? The question from Tania. Please, Mrs. Priyanka.
All right, thank you, Ms. Raul. Okay, I will answer the question from Mrs. Tania. Why fintech is the future? This is a great question. I think there's three important points that I can say to answer the question why fintech is the future. The first one, we can say that financial technology or fintech is the future of banking, and then lending, and then investing, and also finance in general. Now we can see there are hundreds of fintech startups cropping up each year in the bid to become the next big thing. And the second one, why fintech is the future, is because with an excellent product and then business plan and proper investing, many of them have a real chance of succeeding. And the third point, the last point, is the market is hungry for innovative financial products that make life easier for its user and make good money for investor and also the founders alike. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Raul.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Priyanka for the explanation. For the next question, any question for the third question? Okay, question 1, 2, 3, 4. Should I count down? Next question, please. Student from GMMMSU Philippines, you can also ask question to Mrs. Priyanka. Who is the next question? Should I count down 10 to 1? And then we can close on the first session. Come on. Next question, please, student. Okay, we have question from column chat. Hello, Mrs. From Danang Hanifan. He asked about, is digital disruption always a technology issue? Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Priyanka, please. You can explain the question from Danang Hanifan.
All right, thank you, Ms. Rauli, and for Mr. Danang Hanifan. The question is, digital disruptions always a technology issue? Okay, I can answer this question. I think the digital disruption is not always about the technology issue. No. Why? Because well, digital disruptions will almost always have some element of technology. We know about that. But the technology itself is not necessarily the primarily disruptive element, I think, because there are a few disruptions in the context about this digital disruption, about of what models have been disrupted in. I can mention 4 elements of such as disruption, such as business, and then technology. We're talking about industry, and the last one is the society. Yeah, I think that's the answer about this question. Thank you, Ms.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Priyanka, from the explanation. Okay, next question, I think this is the last question from Reski Aisha. Hello, Miss. My name is Reski Aisha. And the question is, do you know the important factors responsible for the growth of fintech? Okay, Mrs. Priyanka, please.
All right. Okay, I will answer the question from Ms. Reski Aisha about, do you know the important factors responsible for the growth of fintech? Okay. If we are talking about the important factors responsible for the growth of fintech, we can say that the prominent driving forces for fintech include the support of a talented workforce. Yes, the first one. And then also technological innovation and changing user behaviors. Those are 3 important factors responsible. But for the most important of all, the necessity of developing trust in financial service systems and also institutions has also fueled the demand for the adoption of financial technology solutions. Thank you, Ms. Rauli.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Priyanka, for all explanation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, student of Universitas PGRI Semarang and of course student of GMMMSU Philippines, we have reached final presentation from the first speaker. Last but not least, we can get insight that financial services industry is only one of which sector from many sectors affected by digitalization growth. Ladies and gentlemen, and all students, Thank you for joining us in the first session webinar today. And now we will be continued the second session webinar by DM MMSU Philippines to Dr. Mark Christian Leda. Time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Yaban, and good day to all of us. Now, it is my pleasure to present to you our next presenter, our learning resource. He is a graduate of the Master in Development Administration, major in Public Administration, and currently a professor at the College of Management. Let us all welcome Professor Billy Villanueva in the topic Participatory Governance through Community-Driven Development Management. Professor Billy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let me just open up my presentation. Share it to you. Just give me a few seconds. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Sir, it's not yet on the screen, sir. Still loading, sir.
How about this time, sir?
There you are, sir. We already see your presentation.
Okay. I think my camera is disrupting the internet connection, so let me just go ahead and try to close my camera first so that we would have smoother flow. There you go. Okay. So first off, I'd like to thank you, Sir Mark, for that introduction. And of course, I'd like to acknowledge the organizers of this event, the UPGRIS and Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University. Thank you so much for inviting us to share our insight when it comes to management. And of course, to the participants of this event, thank you so much for attending. And I hope that you are enjoying the lectures, and I hope you will be learning on this lecture that I'll be discussing about governance. Okay, so the topic that I'll be discussing is all about participatory governance through community-driven development. And before I move on with my discussion, okay, I'd like to show you the objectives of this lecture. So first one is to define the underlying concepts or the about the idea of participatory governance and of course community-driven development. Second is to identify the essentials of participatory governance and the contributions of community-driven development towards national and local development. And lastly, to understand the role of each individual towards nation building through participatory governance and community-driven development. Okay, so I'm sure governance is not a new thing to all of us. We've been hearing the term governance for quite some time, especially when we started, taking our high school and college years. Okay, but for today, I won't be focusing on the mere concept of governance, but I'll be focusing on the concept of good governance. Okay. When we say good governance, as defined by the United Nations, good governance is the process of governing, which has major characteristics such as participatory, which means people has to be involved, okay, in the process of governance. Consensus-oriented, which means people should agree and confirm with the processes of governance. Accountable, wherein our governments or the management should be accountable and responsible to their actions and decisions. Transparent, which means the things or the actions being imposed by the government should be something that the people should also see and understand. Responsive, which means the things that or the services that the government is giving to the people should be responsive to the needs or should adhere to the needs of the people themselves. Effective and efficient, which means the services should be valuable, the things and actions that our government should be valuable, and the resources should be maximized, okay, and used efficiently. Equitable and inclusive, which means the services should be given to everyone, regardless of what sector they belong. And of course, the governance should follow the rule of law, which means it should comply or abide with the current or existing laws of the nation or the society. So the concept of good governance has been an emerging concept since the time that the people had been seeking for government which has lower corruption, or good governance is actually a concept that addresses the problem of corruption. And of course, it's inclusive, so it also takes into account the voices or the views or ideas of the minority. And of course, it allows the voices of those most vulnerable sector in the society to be heard in every decision-making process of the government. Also, it is responsive to both the present and future needs of the society, which also adheres with the idea of sustainable development. So basically, this concept of good governance is the foundation of the so-called participatory governance. Okay, so when we say participatory governance, we look at it on various ways, and I'd like to show the idea of two ideas that I really like about when it comes to participatory governance. So first, I'd like to introduce the idea of Civicus. Civicus is an international organization. So they believe that participatory governance is embodied in the process that empowers citizens to participate in public decision-making or people empowerment. So when we say participatory governance, citizens are being empowered. And later on, we will be discussing the definition of empowerment. But people are being empowered, and after them being empowered, they can either participate in public decision-making or also, multiply by empowering other citizens. So Civicus says that's how participatory governance works. On the other hand, Barnes made mention of the collaboration between government institutions and non-government institutions, such as non-government organizations, civil society, the market or the businesses, and academia. So for Barnes, if this institution of the government or the institutions of the government work together with the NGOs, civil society, and the business, and also the academia towards development, this is what we call participatory governance. So combining both ideas together, we will form the concept of participatory governance, which for me is the process by which the empowered citizens participates in public decision-making in matters that affect their interests through the links between public and the government institution. So let us go, let us dig deeper on this idea. So first, I'd like to tell you about the concept of empowerment. So when we say empowering the citizens, what does empowerment wants to tell us? So empowerment is a combination. So using etymology, we would say it's a combination of two words, the prefix "em," which means in or into, and the word power. So putting them together, it's to bring power. So empowerment is to bring power. And in the context of Weber, power exists within the context of relationship between people or things. So let's just say right now, you are in front of your devices, your computer or your phone. Okay? So you have a relationship between you and that specific thing that you're holding right now. So you have the capability to turn your devices on or turn them off, to increase the volume or to lower the volume. So you as a person, and in your relationship with your device, you have more power to it because you have control over it. Okay? And the same is to other people. If you have power to, or if you have the ability to influence other people, and that means you also demonstrate somewhat a sense of power over them. Okay, so looking at empowerment in the concept of participatory governance, it refers to the process of changing the relationship of the citizens or the people and the government. Essentially, it adds an increasing, or it increases the influence of the people towards the government. So it adds control to the people. So when we say empowered citizen, these are citizens who are having more control on their government. And of course, the term public decision making. So when you say public decision making, okay, let's now break this term into two again. So we have public and decision making. Decision making, it refers to the process of choosing between sets of alternatives or options. Okay, while if we factor in public, so we're referring to the people. Okay, so decision making or public decision making is decision making or a process of choosing the best alternative in dealing with concerns of the society or the people. Okay, so what are common examples of public decision making? Okay, so we do have several examples of public decision making, such as government policies. Okay, in terms of local government, these are the resolutions. It's part of public decisions. Budgeting or national budget or local budget, subnational budget. These are actually part of public decisions. And of course, development, okay, and the development plan. Okay, so the way how development is planned, it's also part of public decision making. So essentially, when we say participatory governance, it's the people being empowered, having the ability to influence the decisions of the government or the public institution towards the matters that affects their interest. So basically, that's participatory governance. And because this participatory governance has been accepted worldwide, several strategies are also built to foster the concept of participatory governance. One of the most familiar all over the world is the strategy on community-driven development. Community-driven development operates with the principles of transparency, participation, accountability, and enhanced local capability. So somewhat close to the definition of good governance. Its idea is that the community being on their areas, knowing what they need, has the best understanding of what are the things or what are their needs as well. Okay, hence they are the best people who can identify what are the things or what are the interventions they need for their community to also improve. Community-driven development is focused on the core principles such as community focus groups or community or focus groups, meaning, okay, so someone, let me just start my video. Okay, there. So when we say community, okay, it's the people themselves. Okay, they are the people who's living together in one common area. Okay, with either a culture that binds them together. Okay, participatory planning, which means the idea is that it's the community who plans for their development. Okay, community control of resources. So it's not just the idea of planning, but also they have the control over their resources. If there are resources that can be used for their development, the community has control over it. Not other group of people, but it's their community, their own. Okay, community involvement in the implementation. So if there are things that needs to be done in the community, it has to be the community themselves who should be implementing these interventions. And participatory monitoring, which means the people in the community should also help in monitoring whatever interventions that has been applied towards their development. So basically, these are the core principles of community-driven development. Let's go back to the slide. So community-driven development strategy gives control over the decisions of the government, okay, of the community. They have control over the decisions, what they will be doing and what they will be adopting, what projects they will be implementing, and whatever intervention that they have to make with their own community. Plus, community-driven development also increases the control over resources. Okay, so basically, this is the most essential idea of community-driven development, and this has been accepted in so many places around the world, which also had been fostered by funding institutions such as World Bank. Okay, World Bank and Asian Development Bank joined together in the concept of community-driven development and supported several nations in fostering community-driven development in their nations. Examples of those countries which adopted this community-driven development are the ones on your screen, such as Myanmar, Afghanistan, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Democratic Republic of Congo, the community-driven Program National Pemberdayaan Masyarakat Mandiri, or the National Community-Driven Development Program of Indonesia. While in the Philippines, we do have the Kalahi Seeds, or Comprehensive Integrated Delivery of Social Services through the National Community-Driven Development Program. So the Indonesian community-driven development is actually what inspired the Philippine government to act on their community-driven development. So the experiences of the CDD, or community-driven approach, in Indonesia has inspired the Philippines to adopt the community-driven development as well. Because in Indonesia, it started with the implementation of the CDD through the rural areas, and has been adopted in urban areas as well. It has been known to be the largest implementation of CDD all over the world. Okay? So in the Philippines, the CDD has been adopted through the KCN CDDP. So it started in 2002. Okay, well, Indonesia started it first, and adopted by the Philippines. So CDD started in 2002 in the Philippines, and it's been growing until right now, at the present, it already covers around 800 municipalities who are under certain criteria, such as poor municipalities, including 4th class and 6th class municipalities, and municipalities affected by the Typhoon Yolanda. Okay. These municipalities has adopted the community-driven approach as an initiative of the government of the Philippines through the Department of Social Welfare and Development. So CDD seeks to reduce poverty, okay, in the Philippines, especially on the most vulnerable areas. It also intends to participate in more inclusive local government units in terms of planning and their budgeting. So just like the CDD in other countries, it also has principles of the CDD, such as localized decision making, inclusiveness, driven, simple, sustainable community priority settings in adopting these specific processes. It starts from social preparation and community consultation, going towards community monitoring. So let me just go ahead and discuss a little bit of this process in a larger context. So the first one is social preparation. So in this process, people in the community are gathered together to identify, what the current situation of their community is. So they have to identify if they have ongoing issues that they have to resolve. They have problems. There are things that needs to be done for their development. And not only that, they also have to identify opportunities and alternatives that they may be able to use and propose to the government so that the government can support that specific intervention. Okay, so the social preparation and community consultation happens first before it proceeds to another step. Okay, the second step is community planning and proposal preparation, and of course the approval. So here, the community joins together. They collaborate their ideas and work together to create a certain plan for their development. Right after that, they propose their interventions, right? The interventions that they have chosen. They will propose it to the local government, and the local government will then see if this initiative should be worth it of being approved. Okay, and right after it is right after the proposal has been approved, again, the community works together in the implementation of the project. So there will then be a need for the formation of community-based organizations. And the community-based organizations will then help in the implementation of the project, them being part of the operations and maintenance group of the community. So the project will be built by not just the government, but also by the people and the community-based organization within their community, right? Okay, it goes to looks at the situation of the project that was implemented, but the community as a whole. They will be looking into the sustainability of the projects, some projects that were implemented. So if this project can still, if this the life of this project can still be prolonged, how can it be sustained? So they will have to measure it through sustainability evaluation. If these projects or some projects that they created are functional, so they will check that using that coming from this test will then be placed under a barangay and municipal accountability reporting. Okay, so the community will then report what's happening with the project. And from their experience and from their feedback, be either a continuation of the previous intervention implemented or a new intervention which will be introduced using the same community empowerment cycle again. So what are the gains of the country when the CDD has been implemented? So there are so many gains in the Philippines right after the community-driven development has been implemented. So during the Community-Driven Development Institutionalization Forum, which I attended November 2022, they made mention of this gains, such as having community projects more responsive to the needs of the poor. And because of this, of the responsiveness of these projects, high level of satisfaction among the beneficiaries were achieved. Higher impact and sustainability of sub-project was also achieved. There was also increased participation in local development process. So before, it used to be just the government who's deciding on the development, but now the development process and planning have been more participatory. And also, some projects led to the reduction of transportation costs and improvement of productivity in the communities that has been benefited, which in turn increased the revenues of the beneficiaries. According to World Bank impact evaluation, it also showed that there was 9% increase in proportion of households whose house are accessible year-round. So before, there are several houses which cannot be reached in certain seasons within the year, but now there's been an increase in number of the houses that can be reached all throughout the year. Water-related sub-projects reduce the time and cost spent in obtaining water. And World Bank impact evaluation found that 12% increase in per capita spending of household identified as poor at the start of the project. So there has been real impact when it comes to the project. And estimated 6% reduction in likelihood of beneficiaries' households to be classified poor using the official government metrics. So because of this, gains, the community-driven development approach is being continued by the government of the Philippines. Okay, and how do we plan to sustain this kind of approach towards participatory governance? Of course, we have to continuously engage the community in the local development process, such as planning, consultation, and everything that relates to development process. Second, we have to encourage the formation of more civil society groups, non-government organization, and community-based organization who can engage as representatives of the people in the local development bodies. And of course, another thing is the institutionalization of the community-driven development methodologies, mechanism, or approaches in the local and the national government. So if these are done, then definitely the things that attain using the participatory governance concept through the community-driven development approach will also be sustained. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Billy. So I'm now encouraging everyone to kindly raise their questions, or do you have any point of clarifications for the discussion being presented to us by Professor Billy? Or if you would like, you can also type into our chat box. If you are very shy to raise your hand, you can type in our chat box questions are pertaining to the topic of Professor Billy. Anyone? Any question? My team raise our hands to our student participants from BIMSU and from UGRIS. Any questions so far? All right, so while we are waiting, let me raise the first question, Sir Billy.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, if I may, I would just like to ask, what would be the greatest challenge in implementing community-based development, or the CBD that you have discussed? Any major challenges in implementing this?
Well, yeah. Well, this has been the common question whenever we discuss the community-driven development, because how come that this process cannot be implemented all throughout the country immediately? Because this process has to be really be planned. There's a lot of things that needs to be done, and it takes too long for the adoption of the CDD. Why? Because of the methodologies that being used. So for you to be able to encourage people to participate, you have to empower them. You have to educate them. Okay. So starting from educating the people who are from the further or far-flung areas of the country. Okay. You have to really spend some time to talk to them, engage with them, understand what they need, okay, and help them understand what's the benefit of participatory governance to them. And right after that, you also have to push them to apply what they learn. And most of the time, people would be ashamed of, I know how to participate, but I cannot participate immediately because I'm ashamed. So you have to encourage them. You have to help them go to that second phase. So now, once they have tried, you have to understand that it won't be successful immediately. Sometimes they would be rejected, sometimes they would be accepted, but not to the point that they will then be welcome again. So in some cases, there will be instances where they are not accepted immediately. So there's going to be a struggle on getting these people back to the second phase and try to make another attempt. Okay, so you have to be there. The government has to be there. The coordinators has to be there in that second step, so that they can help these people in the community to try to make another attempt. And then once the attempt is successful, then they have to undergo another phase and another phase until eventually they will be successful. And that cycle alone would take around, well, based on my experience, it would take around 2 or 3 years. Sometimes, even longer than that, because in some communities, there are really just very few population. So you have to really make sure that the communities are all involved. So by the time that the community-driven development has been successful, the government or the people who supports the community-driven approach has already spent around 5 years, in the community. So this would really take time, but this needs patience. for people to see the long-term effect of the community-driven development.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Billy. So we have some questions that are written in our chat box. So let me just read them. The first one is, hello, I am Maurice, a student from DIMSU. My question is, how can participatory governance return the trust of the citizen to its government and build integrity in governance?
Very nice question, Maurice. Well, when we're talking about trust in governance, well, in the community-driven development, the governance is not the government. The governance is the community themselves. It's the people themselves. So basically, you won't doubt yourself. You're part of the community-driven development. You won't doubt the government. So the people being part of the government in fostering development, that's already a manifestation that there's a trust in the government, because you will not join someone whom you don't trust. So when people joins the government, that's already a manifestation that there's a trust in the government. Now, the next thing is, will they be successful when they collaborate? If they become successful when they collaborate, then eventually it's not just the trust that the people would have to the government, but it's their satisfaction towards what they have achieved together. People and the government working for the development. And once they're successful, then both of them would be not just probably not just fulfilled, but definitely be inspired to do the same thing again over and over, so that they can really achieve a holistic development. So I think that's one good thing about the community-driven development. It's not just the government, not just for the people, government by the people themselves.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so before we proceed with the next question, I would just like to remind our participants that the link for our attendance for today's session is already being posted in the chat box. So I am encouraging everyone to kindly fill up the form for your attendance today's session. Okay, our next question is from Zara. We have from Zara Raraja. Okay, so my name is Zafra Pitlina. Permission to ask, what are the key elements of successful community development?
Hello, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Okay. Thank you so much, Sarah, for the question. Well, community-driven development, by the way, is an international strategy. However, how it's done on different countries may be different. So how it's done in Indonesia may not be the same as how it's done in the Philippines or in Myanmar or in the other part of the globe. However, I think there are very essential elements that is common to all of this CDD implementation. And basically, the key element is the people. Okay, so in the community-driven development, the development has to be pushed not by the government but by the people. So the people has to identify what are the things that they need, or what are the intervention that they need in their community. The people will implement this intervention. The people will monitor if this intervention will be successful or not. The people will also be the one who's going to continue the progress of this intervention if in case it is successful, and they are also the one accountable of modifying their intervention in case that it has not been successful. So basically, all of this process roots down to the accountability of the people, not just the government, but the people. So I think the most essential element, there are a lot of key elements on the community-driven approach, but I think the most essential element is basically the people. So if the people participates in the community-driven development, then I would say eventually there will be better better. Thank you so much, sir. I hope that answered the question.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Billis. And I guess we still have our last question for today's session. And for everyone, our participants, if you would like to ask questions, you can actually message Sir Billy or our organizers so that you can get some information about it. And Sir Billy will be forwarding his presentation to me, and I'll be forwarding it to your administrator, to the organizer of this session. The final question is, first thing, thanks for the impressive presentation, very detailed and clear. My question is, what are some of the key lessons learned from CDD programs around the world? And how can this be applied in different contexts and setting? The question is from Yoga Indra Katama.
Thank you so much for that question, Ms. Yoga Indra. Well, I won't name a single lesson, or I won't name 1 or 2 or 3 lessons, because there's a lot of lessons learned from the community-driven development, not just in the Philippines or Indonesia, but basically all around the countries around the world. Most of the time, these are placed under publication, books and reports coming from the World Bank. And right now, I'm also conducting my own study in the impacts of community-driven development. Okay, so there's really a lot of lessons that can be learned, some good and some bad. But I cannot give a general, probably a general lesson, but I would focus on the thing that I mentioned earlier, based on the actual experience, based from what I heard from the facilitators, based from what I heard from the project implementers of the community-driven development, not just in the country, but also some from other parts of the world. They're really into the essentials of the participation of the people towards governance. If the people, we notice that if the people has or welcomes the idea of them participating or of them being accountable in their development, then any approach in community development, community-driven development would apply to them. But if they are not welcome to that idea, it would be hard and sometimes even impossible for their development. So basically, it's the essential of the people that needs to be emphasized whenever community-driven development is applied on whatever settings, whether it's local, national, or international. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, so thank you so much, Professor Billy, for providing us an insight and also your expertise in this particular topic. So again, I am encouraging our participants to kindly open the link that is posted in our meeting chat for your attendance sessions. So that ends our talk and our session 2 for today. Thank you so much. So may I now turn over the floor to Ms. Yabat. How about to Dr. Christine? Hello, Dr. Christine.
Hello, Mark Leda.
Hi, hello. Hi, Sir Bayo. Good afternoon. Okay, so I guess this would be the end of our session. So I hope to see you in our session 3 for our series of talks. So thank you so much and good day to everyone.
Thank you, Mark Leda and Prof. Billy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time in the next series webinar. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Prof. Billy, and all students from Pekiri and DMCU.
Thank you. Permission to leave, Sir Bayo and the rest.
Yes, thank you. We can end this webinar series. Thank you all. Good afternoon.